There we go. All
I got
right. All right, well, let's get it going, ladies and gentlemen. We know, look, we value your time. We know how busy you are. We know how busy this time of year can be. So again, welcome. And we're so thrilled to be doing this with our good friends, Misty Lowen and Julie K. Stallcup. So Angie and I are really thrilled to have them on board. So this is the format. Each one of us is going to take a topic that we feel is an important finish here to the season, and we're going to have 7 minutes. So we're going to go quick. We're going to throw it out there. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. We'll get to some at the end. But our goal is to try to get this whole presentation done in the next 28 minutes. So each one of us are going to be on a strict timer. We're going to go through it. We're going to be blowing it out and having a great time. Also, please make sure you stay on till the end, because we're going to give away 2 great prizes at the end. Okay, so number one person is going to win a free pre-conference seminar that we're going to tell you a little bit about, that the 4 of us will be doing this summer. One person's going to win a free tuition to the pre-conference, and one person is going to win free tuition to the entire conference. So a $597 value. The other one, the pre-conference, our studio owner, our management intensive, is going to take place on the 27th. That's $297. So one person's going to win one person is going to win the other. And it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be great. So Julie K, do you want to pull up our slides and let everybody see? So up on top, you see that is our dance studio owner management intensive that we're going to be doing this summer, the 4 of us, and we've been having a blast putting this together. Already a lot of great content, very excited and pumped to present it with these 2 amazing people, as well as, you know, Angie and I were just so thrilled about having them on board with this and collaborating with them on this. Those 2 QR codes, folks, if you want to take out your phone, the one on the left is the Dance Teacher Web live app. So you can scan that. The app is free. And we also now have some videos up on there from last year's conference that you can go and watch free of charge. James Whiteside, American Ballet Theater principal, has a contemporary. We also have a seminar that Julie K did. We have one that Misty did, and one that Angie and I have done, Ray Leeper Jazz, as well on there. So some great videos free of charge, our gift to you to go and check it out. The one on the right, the QR code, is for the conference. So if you want to scan that, we right now have our early bird conference registration going on. So if you register for the conference by next Wednesday, March 15th, you get $100 off of the registration. All right, so I'm going to put my timer on. We weren't messing around here, and we're talking about keeping this as tight as possible. And I am going to start with my topic, which is retention, or your retention needs your attention. So let's start right at the top there at faculty and staff. So you might be thinking to yourself, Steve, what does that have to do with retention? In our opinion, in the 35 years we've had our studio, it has everything to do with retention. And here's what I would like you to think about. Happy staff equals happy customers. Happy staff equals happy studio owner. Happy staff equals customer retention. So the question now with your faculty and staff is, who's coming back? Now is the time of year to figure it out. Now, we all have to make tough decisions. We're business owners. Not everybody's going to be coming back. We understand that. But those that are going to come back, and you want to start making a plan and building what the folks you have are on your team are going to be doing. Maybe you're going to expand roles for people. Maybe you're going to contract. Maybe you're going to add new things at your studio. And that brings us to that next one. You know, who do you need to bring on? Maybe you need somebody new, so you want some fresh blood in some areas. We always try to bring at least one new person into the fold. We're so lucky we have an amazing group of teachers and staff that have been with us for years, but we also seem to always bring new folks into the fold, and that's always very exciting because they have that energy and a fresh set of eyes on how you do things, especially behind the front desk. It's always good to have some new fresh set of eyes to come in and take a look. And then, where will you find people? There's so many areas where you can find them everywhere, from teaching teaching at a university, maybe they're college students. I know this year we had an amazing college student who's now going to be leaving us, but she just graduated. Fantastic job. There's so many areas where you can tap in and find people who can be part of your team. We always like to say we're always on the lookout for talent, and we put it out there to our parents, to everybody I know. If somebody is new in the neighborhood and they're coming in and they just have they're maybe a great teacher, or maybe they love kids and they'd be a great fit for the studio. And then, develop that rock solid interview process so you get exactly who you are looking for with all of this. And the training never ends. And Angie's going to get into that in her part, but the training never ends with your faculty and staff. Every year we have more, and that empowers them to help with retention with your students and parents, which brings us to that next topic. Your students and their parents connect more as the season unwinds. So how do we do this? Maybe an email featuring a class with a photo saying this class is doing a great job this year, or have maybe a student of the week, and each week you can put it up on the wall. We also last year or 2 years ago started a little something right when COVID was going on, is sending out a thank you note to all of your parents. All right, there we are. So recommendations versus evaluation. So we'd like for our faculty to do evaluations of all the students. They're going to turn those evaluations into us, and we're going to turn them into recommendations. Now, this may sound like just semantics, but we found that folks, when they get something that says recommendations, that they're much greater. Something about that word just makes them feel like, yes, this is my child is progressing and moving forward. So get evaluations, send recommendations, and do priority registration for your returning families, right? We want that priority registration for them where they can get first dibs on classes. So what we'll do is at the end of April, we're going to send out a packet that has the new schedule for next season, the student recommendation, and then a highlighted schedule of the different classes that we recommend that we take. And not everybody moves ahead right at the same time, but maybe you can recommend for students that aren't moving up that they take some other classes as well. Good for the student, good for you. And registration incentives. Maybe you want to go and give your folks, we do what we call a 50-50 family VIP referral. So if a family takes a VIP, gives it to somebody, it'll have their name on the certificate. They'll get $50 off if that person registers, and the other person will also get $50 off. And surveys, we talked about this last night with Hetty's group. Surveys give you valuable information that you can use to make your studio better, right? We can always get better, and there's always information that they're going to give you that you can help. And looking at who didn't come back, and I'm talking about people who didn't come back for this season. Those folks who didn't come back, maybe you want to reach out to them again and see, life changes, people get busy, maybe it just didn't fit in with their schedule. Don't give up on those folks. Now would be a good time to reach out to them and say, hey, we missed you this year. Just want to send you a schedule and for next season, and see if you have any questions, give us a call. We'd love to have you back. And then that last one, retaining who you will do business with. This is also part of our retention plan, because everything from utilities, credit card processing, were you happy with costumes, dancewear, studio software, ticketing, everything that you are working with. Well, who are you going to retain? Who has really been great with you? I can tell you through Dance Teacher Web, we've met most of these amazing companies, from costume, dancewear, ticketing, software. I can assure you they want to hear from you if you're not happy about something. Reach out to them. They don't want to see it on Facebook. They want to hear from you because your opinion matters very much to them. And that last one, janitorial and any other business necessity that you're doing at your studio. So That's what we call the retention that needs your attention, the retention plan that needs your attention. Folks, enjoy that. I'm now going to kick it off to Angie. And again, if you have any questions, just raise your hand and we'll try to get to them right there at the end. So Angie, you want to take it away?
You're on mute, Ange.
Yeah, you need to unmute, Ange. We can't
But
hear
you're
you.
cute and I love you. And thank God you're not the other hacker.
I hope not. Good news, everyone in and around your business can become a salesperson for this studio. That goes from faculty to staff, to your students, to their parents, everybody. And so if you really want to supercharge the final months of your season, you just got to sell, sell, sell. And, you know, some people feel uncomfortable with that word sell, but we are a business and we do need to sell, and you can do it in many different ways. It doesn't have to be, you know, like a hard sell. In fact, it's much better if it isn't, obviously, when we're dealing with kids and parents. So I always say be delightfully enthusiastic about your program. Make sure everybody understands how passionate you feel about what you're doing, you know, because let's face it, we don't just teach dance, we also teach life skills. And in many communities, if they don't have a dance studio, they're kind of sunk, because we do a lot of good work for the kids. You know, so main thing is have a positive attitude. And I know it's not always easy, trust me. But when you enter your building, you have to have a positive energy, because no matter how you're feeling, if you generate that, it's very contagious, and everybody will, you know, cling on to that. And, you know, they'll just think, wow, this is an exciting place to bring my child, you know, and that's what you want, because even though you're glad to send them home at night, it has to sort of be a home away from home for them, and especially for the more serious students. So also just remembering to smile. I train my staff, especially my front desk staff, to smile, whether they're talking in person or whether they're on the phone. I just find that if they're smiling while they're talking, the tone of the voice is slightly different and it's more welcoming, and we need to be welcoming. However, having said that, if somebody doesn't buy what you're trying to sell, which is of the classes and the whole family feeling of your place, you know, don't get despondent, because there's a place for everyone. You know, and I always say, you know, when the door closes on one person, it leaves it to open for another person. So don't let one person or one family who doesn't particularly fit your mold disturb you. It doesn't matter. More will come, because you will attract the right people, you know, as long as you have that good feeling. So at this time of year, you have to find ways to get your new and current students to take more. And as Steve mentioned, we do send out student recommendations, and I do the final copies of those myself. And I'm very particular about it, because I make sure we have listed every class that's available to kids. And I make sure that I always put extra ones for every kid. And the funny thing is, if I happen to leave one kid out of a class for any reason, I just have an oopsie. The mother's on the phone. Oh, why isn't my daughter recommended for that class? And I'm all right. She can take it, trust me. But so also one thing I also train my staff and faculty is really to listen. You know, it's easy to get impatient with people because our lives are very busy. And sometimes when people come through the door or they call, you know, you've got a million things happening. So I would say just try really not to be impatient and take time to listen to your customers. Not just your customers, listen to your staff, listen to your faculty and your students, because the reality is that the more information that you get from them, the more you're able to serve them and give them, you know, what they're looking for. But if you constantly impatient, or you're not listening, you're sort of talking over them, you don't really know what the true thing is. So I say this to myself all the time: resist the impulse to talk too much. Just listen and take a deep breath. In blue, out green is my motto. So, you want to ask the right questions if somebody is on the phone or even if they're emailing or they're in person. You want to ask the questions to find out exactly what they want their kid to be involved in. And then you can offer the right advice, you can guide them. And again, if they don't want to listen to you, don't get offended, you just let them do what they do. And you try to encourage them at every step to do more because it's going to benefit everybody. It's going to benefit the child who's going to become more proficient, and it's going to benefit the studio because it's more income. And I also feel very strongly that you, with your faculty and staff, give them confidence, by making them understand really your passion, because your passion will go through to them. And I mean, fortunately, we're in a business where people are passionate, because can you imagine going to work every day and hating every moment of it? 9 to 5 job. I mean, ours is definitely not 9 to 5. Yesterday we worked till 10:30 at night. So, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. But it's, it is what it is. We enjoy it. We love the results that we see. So make sure your staff understands and your faculty, your mission statement. I have to remind myself sometimes on those off days, what am I really trying to get out of this? But you can find it again, trust me. And I always think it's important to reaffirm with your staff and faculty what you're trying to do, where you're leading the whole business to. Because people forget, they get sidetracked, they're busy, or they lose sight of the whole thing. And I mean, you can have a meeting with everybody, but for us, it's very difficult because a lot of our faculty come from other places. So I just find a casual talk with people works just as well, and I get a lot of information. I learn more about each teacher and staff member, and it enables me to do a better job sort of keeping the spirits up and up. You want them to talk about your studio in the community. You want your students to talk about the community. You want to get the word out, basically, and it can come from any place. So I recommend that wherever you go, keep cards, keep schedules on you, give your teachers and staff that, encourage the kids to wear their studio, sweatshirts or jackets at school, because it's free publicity at the schools. They don't like you to advertise in the schools, but what better way than to see all these beautiful dancers wearing your name? It's a good idea actually to put the phone number and email on it. I'm just thinking about that now. So show everyone that you feel confident about your product, because if you do, you will entice them to take more classes. And, that's the goal, isn't it? We want to make better dancers, better human beings, and the end result will be beneficial financially for us, as I said before. And I do think, it's part of our job to inspire and lift up the people in our community who walk through our door. And we try to just get them to walk through the door. I much prefer to register people in person. And they tease me at the studio because somebody will come in to enroll their kid for one class, and by the time they walk out, they're taking at least 2 ballet and probably another class as well. And just by talking to them, explaining the benefits. So I know a lot of people do online registering, but with every person that registers online, I would recommend that you find time to meet with them face to face, because that little moment of your time will go a long way, and you can open their eyes to a lot of things that they probably know nothing about, because most parents don't know anything about dance or its benefits, generally. So be prepared, educate everyone about your program. Don't assume that anybody knows about you. We're in a shopping center in Fairfield, in Connecticut. There's a big store at the other end, it's called the Pantry. It's a good food store. I mean, our sign is very big. We have a sign into the parking lot, and there's still people who don't know we're here, you know. And the thing is, if you're not on the radar, you're not on their radar. So you have to make yourself on their radar. And you can do that by going to events, participating in events, handing your stuff out, talking to people. And don't be shy about it. You're doing some wonderful stuff. You're saving a lot of kids, especially nowadays. With, you know, since COVID, so many kids have problems. And by the way, their parents do too. So, you know, let's help everybody. But you've got to be out there. You've got to be willing. And so if you are a studio owner, try to take time to get out there, to attend events, to talk about your studio. It will generate a lot of importance. Keeping people well informed. I do feel that you need to constantly nowadays keep your parents and students in, even your faculty member, everybody involved. And it's becoming almost a day-to-day thing, because no matter what you tell them, they don't remember it. So, you know, I'm sure you all experience what we experience. We send emails, texts, we have phone calls, and they still come in and want a personal touch, you know. But that's just what it is. So we have to do that. But always let people know what's going on, because then they feel that you're on top of what you're doing and that you are the captain of the ship. So, when somebody in your organization makes a sale of any kind and really does something well, try to reward them in some way, you know, even if it's a small thing, you buy them a cup of coffee or whatever. And if they do something big, give them something really nice, like take them away for a couple of days, or, you know, take them to dinner. Or we once wanted to reach 700 students. We had 450, and we took them to Puerto Rico because they reached the 700. So you might not be able to do that. It was cheaper back then. But people like to be appreciated, and people like to be rewarded, and they'll do everything for you if you do that for them, and they know you have your back. You have their back. So in conclusion, I've been trying to put a lot of stuff in here. I think I've gone over my 7. But, you know, there are ways to sell to your current people all the time and outside people all the time. Doesn't matter what time of year. Thank you. I'll pass you on to Julie K.
No, my good friend Misty. She's cute too, though.
Hey, everyone. Welcome. Man, this has been an exciting day. I haven't had a good Zoom bomb in a long time. I think the last time I was doing a gig with Discount Dance, and it was for students back in the pandemic, and somebody opened up and started coloring all over my slides. So, you know, the video is a new level, but that coloring all over my slide was something else too. Just a reminder that we work in the world of live theater. Hey, I just want to give a high five to Steve, really making sure we remember retention's a year-round job. I think in my early days of being a studio owner, I would really only think about it on registration day. Hey, who's coming back? And then after registration, thinking about how do we get the people who didn't come back and re-engaged again? And thanks, Steve, for reminding us that registration and retention really is a year-round job. And then, Angie, I love how you're always just reminding us that it's showtime. When we get to the studio, it's positive, it's smile. We can figure anything out. It is showtime. So I love that. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about how important it is this time of year to be thinking about fall tuition and some ways that you can think about it and be more thoughtfully thinking about it, and then also get more real information about it. So the first thing that I just want to highlight here is ask yourself, how did you even come up with your tuition in the first place? So at More Than Just Great Dancing, we're spending the entire month of March right now just talking about our business models and kind of poking at the edges of it and saying, you know, why do I do things the way that I do? And what's coming up right now is for most studio owners, they either inherited their tuition model. Maybe they took over their teacher's studio, or when they built their studio, they looked back to their old studio's model, or they borrowed it from maybe a friend and said, oh, you know, I love how Sarah's doing it, or I love how Linda's doing it. Maybe they're part of a group and they see something else. Maybe they did a SWOT analysis, looking around in their community and figuring out what other people are charging for other youth activities like youth soccer, gymnastics, swim lessons, but very few people actually analyze. And that's what I want to encourage you to do today, right? So we don't disregard the history of how we got our tuition, and we certainly don't disregard the market, but we do actually need to spend more time figuring out how we price what we do based on what it costs us to do what we do. So let's just jump into the next section here. And I want to give you some examples. So the first thing I always advise studio owners to do is to dial into what does it cost you to open your business per hour, right? If we want to compare this to a retail model or even a grocery model, it's very simple. If you're paying $5 for eggs right now, it's probably because the grocer is paying $4. When you used to pay $2 for eggs, it's because they were paying $1. So retail, grocery, they all know how to set their price based on what it costs them to get that product on the shelf. Your product in your shelf is a class, and it's in a studio in an hour time space at your studio. So figure out what it costs you to get that hour. So I used a simple example here because it was easy math of saying, let's say that you calculated for the whole year, your cost of your shelf and your product, which is your room in your studio, is $100,000 for the year. And out of that $100,000, you're paying your rent and or maybe your mortgage, your utilities, your teachers. It's the cost to run the business for the year. If you decide that's $100,000 and you back that up by going into your QuickBooks, then go over and say, how many total number of classes did I provide for that year's worth of expenses? Now, I actually like to look at my school year versus my summer. So let's just say this is school year. Julie K, would you grab it's Carla's line this time, if you would grab that for me? Thanks so much. Or perhaps Carla can grab it for herself. This one actually sounds like a friendly, doesn't it? Sounds like maybe we've just got a little intern in there. Or if you can make me the host, I can grab it too. Carla, are you able to mute your line? Carla's got a frozen face. Thanks so much. All right. I saw thumbs up from Michelle. Hey, Michelle, by the way. All right, back into our content. Julie K, if you can just make it a titch bigger for me, that'd be awesome. I didn't bring my glasses like Julie K, but that would have been an exceptional idea. All right, let's go back into this model. So you look at your whole school year or your whole year expenses, and you count up the literal number of hours of service that you offered, and you divide that into the total cost. So in my example, $100,000 worth of expenses, 660 class hours from September all the way through May. And if you divide that 660 into $100,000, you're saying that's $150 per hour to open class. That's a significant number. Now I can tell you on average, when we work with studio owners, it comes in somewhere between about 100 and 250. I've seen as low as 80. I've seen as high as over 300, depending on what market they're in. So I think this 150 is a good number to play with. Now, what's really interesting now is when you compare that cost to open per hour to what you're actually charging per hour for tuition. Now, I can tell you, we ran a recent survey of studio owners, and we had 100 respondents, and the average tuition per hour, so that monthly tuition for an hour of class, was $65. So let's break that $65 into the weekly class. If you say, hey, for $65, they're coming on Tuesday for week 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the month, so 4 times on average, that means $16.25 each child is paying for every hour that they show up. Okay, now we have some information we can use. If we take that down and say, how many students now paying $16.25 would it take to pay off that $150 obligation for the hour? It's 9 students. Now, here's what's really interesting to me about this is that I just grew up anecdotally or just kind of feeling that I needed 5 kids in a class to break even. Can you wave your hand if you just kind of made up a number about how many kids in class that you need to break even? In my head, it was 5. At one point it was 4. And then I'm like, I don't know, this feels really expensive. I think it's 6. And then I did the math and I was like, oh, holy cats, as we say in Wisconsin, it's 9. And that made me look at how I was selling classes differently and get more serious about it and getting more serious about making sure those classes were full. And it also made me get more serious about saying, maybe I can't run this effectively with the tuition that I have. So if you look at the bottom of the page, I just gave some samples, right? You probably don't have the option to lower your expenses. I mean, maybe you could move your studio, maybe you could turn the heat down if you're in Wisconsin, but we're getting snow on Thursday, so probably not advised. So you have little control over your expenses, especially in this environment. You could increase your students since you have some influence over that, following Angie's tips. But the best thing you can do that you have 100% control over is fixing your tuition. So just look at the model below and say, hey, you know what? In the example I gave at $65 for that hour of class, you need 9 students to break even. But if it were 75, you need 8 students. If it were 85, you need 7 students. So just a simple example to get you thinking about looking closer at not just what's happening around you with other studios or maybe what you grew up doing, but saying what in 2023 and beyond does it actually cost you to run your studio in making solid decisions, remembering that the goal is not to break even. The goal is to build up kids, and you can't build up kids without having resources, AKA profit. Is the profit that drives your ability to hire great people, to build great programs and have a positive impact on your community. So thanks for letting me share, everyone.
Amazing. How in the world did I get so lucky to be with such amazing, badass people? Sorry, I had to say it. I just feel so good about you guys. All right, and this is, and truly, like, thank you. I'm Julie Kistalka, by the way. I'm a very quiet, calm person. I'm just kidding. I'm not. I'm just wild and having fun. But I just wanted to have a huge shout out to Steve and Ange. Almost 8 years ago, did they bring me on to my very first dance teacher conference? Like, can you believe that? I cannot believe that. And Misty, well, we've taken 2 vacations. You know all about me, and I just appreciate you and love you guys. And what I really wanted to jump into is I work for LA Dance Magic. I'm a certified life coach on the side. I have a company that helps teachers all over the world. But I'm a convention faculty teacher for LA Dance Magic. And let me tell you, I calculated it up yesterday, and I judged last season 112 hours of dance competition. Yeah, that's a lot. And if you know, you know. Does anybody know in here? Like, does anybody know? And so I thought about this because I love doing adjudications. I do it for my team, Julie K. I love judging, and I gave you guys some tips. So the top 5 things to do in rehearsal. All right. So this is asking a judge. Okay. Give me a second. I'm going to find that person before I even start. Nope. People are loving us today, aren't they? Give us a second. Found you. All right. All right. 5 things to do in rehearsal. Now I see tons of things when I'm a judge. And I think a lot of these things, of course, could be handled in rehearsal. So know your routine. 5 things to do in rehearsal. Know your routine. Practice staging. That is something that is interesting that I see that's a problem. I can see when a dancer or a group rehearses only in a small studio and not on a big stage. You can just tell. And I don't care if they're a senior large line and they've been dancing for 25 years. It is very important to put spots down, cones down, and say visit each part of the stage. I am a huge Cicchetti person. I want corner 1, corner 2, corner 3, corner 4, face 5, face 6, face 7, face 8. Teach these kids. My 3 and 4-year-olds know corner 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to get them by the end of the year to have all corners. I'm going to. I don't care if they're 3. They're going to know it. So the staging is important. Count your music. Teachers, stop counting music for them. You're enabling these kids. They need to count so they know which count they're messing up on. Stop counting. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. They count themselves in 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. They need to respect your teacher and the choreographer. Let's see. Make sure you practice. Oh, make sure you practice in your costume. I'll fix that. So the other thing too is, like, I see this problem all the time is they get this beautiful costume. Pieces are falling off. They're a hot mess. I mean, I've seen tops fly off. I've seen everything in my entire life happen in a competition. So make sure that they practice in their costume. And if they wear a skirt, use the skirt. Make it part of the dance. Make it part of the character. I think that's a big thing. Top 5 things before entering the stage. Suit up and show up. I don't know what it is, and I'm in the classroom all the time. I owned my studio for 15 years, sold it. Now I work for a studio locally here, and I don't know right now if kids really know how to suit up and show up even for class. I'm like, hello, clap on, just keep clapping on, because everybody's just clapped off for some reason. I'm like, come on. I teach a class on Tuesday, 7 to 11-year-olds, and I have 17 kids in there. And, you know, I mean, I manage classes of 1,000 people. Like, that doesn't even faze me. But for some reason, these kids in that classroom are hard. So I decided to go ahead and get my whistle, and I blow that sucker. And I'm like, nope, I am Coach JK, and I am not just kidding. Do you get it? I want you to focus. We're going to get in there. So I think that that's going to, they need to learn how to suit up and show up. That means that if, let's see, Hugh Jackman is in, what is the movie? The Greatest Showman. He's not going to just get up there and pretend that he's going to put on just a mediocre show. He's going to put on the greatest show on earth. So that's what I want to see. Where do you start and where do you exit on stage? I see so many bad edits and that they barely know how to finish their routine. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end. Don't abbreviate. Tell me the full thing. Give me punctuation, but never give me a question mark. I don't want to see it. Nope, nada. Get your mind right. Stop watching the people before you and thinking that they're better than you. Turn your dancers, turn them around to you and say, you know what, you've got this, let's go. When you get on that stage, show what you got. Stretch and review your routine, channel the story, character, and purpose. I think that that is probably the reason why I lower scores quickly. I'll start off with a 90 every time on my button. And I'm like, okay, we're going to start off at a 90, which is a platinum. All right, I'm going to think that this is a platinum routine. If they're not showing me why they're on stage, who, what, when, where, and why, we're going to go down to an 84 and then an 83. So it's a big thing. I want to know why they're on stage. I don't want to see robots on stage. Dance was my whole life. It's everything that I've ever wanted. So when I see a kid get on stage and I see confidence building and seeing that they're growing into the person that they are, hot dog, we've got a winner. All right, top 5 things to do while you are on stage. Entertain, use the stage. Know how to handle yourself if it doesn't go well. That is something I see all the time that doesn't happen. They have an A plan, but they don't have a B or a C plan. All right, so that's important. Let's see here, make sure that they have eye contact with the audience. How do you do that? You put 3 sticky notes on the front of your mirror, and they're different colors. And you're like, okay, if Steve's got a solo and he's got a tap solo, I'm going to be like, Steve, there's the green sticky note. Perform to that green sticky note. Then I want you to perform to the yellow and then the red. So then they know how to maneuver themselves around, because if not, they just look straight ahead. And I go, okay, do you think that Taylor Swift's going to go to a concert and just go to one side of the theater? Her fans would be mad. So I'm basically mad. All right, so dance full out, obviously full out with feeling, as Mr. Scott Fowler would say. Top 5 things I look for when I'm judging: technique, storyline / emotion, good staging, transitions, presentation, and commitment. My top 5 tricks, I just told you, are my sticky notes. It's probably the greatest thing that I've done for young kids. Don't put them at eye level, put them above eye level. And I just think it's important. And let's say if it is a story about the fight song from Rachel Platt, and they need 3 things to think about what they're fighting for. I'm gonna print that picture out, I'm gonna laminate it, and I'm gonna put 3 things in there so they know what they're fighting for and they understand how to finish the storyline. So if it's your mom that has cancer, or if you're fighting to be a better person, you know, from a bully, whatever it is, I try to help these kids. This is therapy. Dance is therapy. It's like a chapter in your book that you're like, okay, it's my diary. I'm not going to read it out loud, but I'm going to dance it. That's the way I feel. And you know what? I go into the studio sometimes. I will literally cry for an hour. I will go in there and dance. I'll watch myself back in a video and I'm like, okay, I worked through that. I got through that, boom. And sometimes I just want to keep that with myself. And that's the greatest thing that dance gives us. Record counts. Last night, my 7 to 11-year-old kids, I sat there and I know I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So I filmed it with counts so they understood their counts. And I sent them the video with counts. But I didn't send it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, if I do that, then they're going to be absolutely a hot mess express on stage. They're going to dance 1, 2, 3. If I go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, there's no way they can just be Bad. All right, so then accountability sheets, I'm going to show you that below. I am actually giving you a freebie today. I have this on Team Julie K. I absolutely love it. And it's accountability sheet. We'll talk about it in a second. All right, here we go. Misty and Ange are going across the floor. They're doing battements. All right, they're working their butt off. They've got, 90 degree, maybe they're going a little bit higher. Misty's thinking that she's going to outdo Ange. Okay, I see this is a battle already. Okay, perfect. I knew you had it up by your face, Ange. I wasn't going to tell Misty. If they're going across the floor, instead of just clapping them in and letting them go, I'm going to look at Misty and I'm going to rate her on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Misty did a great battement. I'm going to give her a 7, but she still needs the work. Ange is going to get an 8. So they have that number inside their head. So then they know next time they want a higher number. So it's gauging them. So if I look while they're dancing, if a group is in front of me, I'll start doing like this as they're going, and they're like, wait a minute, I'm getting it. So they know when to level themselves up. The same thing with a soloist, guide them. I did have a teacher say, well, what if they're mad at you for doing that? I'm like, well, then you're going to be mad at a school teacher for giving you a D. Same thing. As my mother would say, suck it up, buttercup. That's just me. All right. And I for commitment, the reason I say my top things, 5 things for commitment, is it comes underneath that 1 to 10. How committed are they going to be? And I talk to them about commitment. And I think that is something that is my word for the year is how are you going to be committed to this team? What are you going to put in it? How much effort are you going to be putting into it? On a scale from 1 to 10. And then if I get anything under a 5, then I know who's on my watch and I know who I'm going to go after. Top 5 things I would like the teachers to think about. Music selections. Oof. I'm going to breathe on that one. Do not give a brand new, and I saw this last weekend in Baton Rouge. I saw a wonderful contemporary routine. Now they were 7 to 8-year-olds. They had no idea but what the song was about. It wasn't even connecting. So you've got to make sure that it's connecting. Pick good music for them. And let me tell you, what is good music to me is Otis Redding pulling people out, like the Temptations, finding a good beat that they can follow and that they can count. If you can't count it, I'm telling you right now, by God, they can't count it. You need to find the point person. If Steve is the front person in the pyramid, then he's going to be that point person to follow. And you need to say, this is the point person for position 1. Then Ange is going to be the point position for the position 2. Name them, and that means that they know. I know I've got to line up with Ange and Steve and Misty. Boom, I'm right in order. I knew who my point person was. Number your positions. There's no reason in God's green earth for let's say a junior prep or junior routine that they should have over 5 positions. They can barely still walk. Just give them 3 positions and call it a day. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, did we even stand still and dance together? Too many but I number my positions and then I make it a game. Go to position 4, go to position 2, go to position 1. So then the traffic pattern, it works it out. Staging again, knowing where it is. Position 1, position 2, corner 1, all that. Can the dancers count the music? If they can't count the music, again, don't show me what you can do, what you cannot do. I can't stand that. Top 5 things to know before choosing music. Does the song build? Are the edits clean? My favorite thing is it'll be a hip hop routine up there and it's like blank back. And they'll literally, like, somebody will say blank instead of the cuss word. Like, just edit it without the cuss word and let it go. But if it's mother and then come on, y'all, we know what it is. I'm not dumb, right? You need to make sure that the vulgar language is out. You can find it, and if you don't know how to edit your music, find somebody or call a friend. Julie K. Stallcup. Does the song end? Does the end of the song make sense? And what that means is that sometimes I hear, like, it'll be like Chantilly lace and a pretty face, and then the music ends. I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you for that routine. Next one. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to have some sort of nice fade, that kind of stuff. Do the lyrics match the age bracket? I was judging, I can't remember the city, and there were 7 to 9-year-olds up there, and I was so excited. I love doing junior prep, and they were dancing, and they got on stage. It was a little vulgar, and I'll say it. I'm like, I don't really like the costume. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to mark down your costumes. and the song was Daddy. And I was like, oh, I bet I know what song this isn't. But then the chorus came in and it was like, spank me, Daddy. And they would slap their rear end. And I was like, oh, absolutely not. This is not age appropriate. And I really didn't care if the teacher didn't like me. I'm like, we're 7 to 9, we don't need to do anything that says spank me, Daddy on that. Or is it overused? And then what I did is I did this accountability card. So, and I duplicated it. So whenever you get this link, you guys, y'all can go ahead and print it and then just cut them in half. And ultimately, like a sheet protector with a little command hook by your music box, whatever you guys use, go ahead and put like 25, 30 of them in there, and then go ahead and pass these out. And what do you put next to them? The scale from 1 to 10. Do y'all follow me? So I'm going to say that Sarah's technique was a 7. Her turns were a 6. Her leaps were a 5. The staging was a 2. The focus points were a 6. The facial expressions were a 4. Then she would know where she was ranging from this. And it's a good thing to do during rehearsal, because all of these people pay tons of money to do solos, duets, and trios, and they don't get feedback. They don't get feedback after every single rehearsal. There's no reason that you guys can't print this out and fill it out and then give it to them. I know that Missy would have loved for her daughter to have gotten this after every single time, and then she could have brought it back the next week, and then she could compare her notes to see, did she plateau, or did she raise the bar for herself, or did she decline? And there's no reason for them to get upset about this, because they're actually paying to go get adjudicated by complete strangers. So I'm just saying. All right. I helped you guys. Thank you for letting me come on. Steve, Ash, take it away.
Julie K, hot dang girl. You look at, here I am on International Women's Day, and 3 powerhouse women. What more could anybody ask for? And folks, do apologize for the little situation that happened earlier. We will have a replay of this. We promise we'll edit out anything that you saw a little bit earlier that was not part of the planned presentation. Also, we'll have a link on there for you to go and check out more about Team Julie K. For those of you on the line that aren't familiar with her or with Misty Lowen's More Than Just Great Dancing, check them out. They offer great products and services for everybody in the dance industry. We're so happy to collaborate with them. And again, this is going to be our pre-conference seminar this summer out in Las Vegas, Planet Hollywood. Would love to have you all come. It's the Dance Studio Owner Management Intensive, July 27th, 8:30 a.m. Be there. We're going to have a great time. And we're going to have our little sailor hats on too. We're going to have an amazing, amazing event that day. And as Julie K said, that document there that she created, we're going to have that also on the page. We're going to send everybody a link to a page where you can go and get that download. You'll be able to watch the video again. You'll get that download. You can print it off. You can take those great accountability cards that Julie K created, all of the great numbers that Misty had, the information Angie had, and that I had. You'll be able to get it. So we've gone a little bit over because we had a little technical difficulty, shall we say, but we do have 2 winners that we pulled from those folks who are on the line. So our free registration for our Dance Studio Management Intensive is, a little drum roll, Jolena Payan. Jolena Payan. Jolena, if I know you're still on the call, I'm going to be reaching out to you. I have your email, so I will reach out to you. So congratulations. You get to come to the pre-conference free of charge. And our free conference winner, this person will get a free conference. So you can come out to Vegas. You'll be responsible for airfare and hotel, but the conference is on the 4 of us, is Jennifer Aversa. Jennifer, congratulations. And I will definitely be sending you an email as well. So Jolena Payan, you're going to get a free pre-conference, and Jennifer Aversa will have the full conference. And again, folks, do we have any questions that anybody had that we can go? I know we're a little over time, but if you want to ask 1 or 2 questions here, Misty, was there anything in particular?
Nothing, no questions, just tons of love and appreciation for, for people showing up to share their experience and insights to just help make everybody better.
And then we have somebody on from South Chile. Like what? We've got some
Yes.
major international things like people today. This is crazy.
It's amazing.
Love it. Any questions?
again,
Come on, we're here for you. Let's go. I want to answer.
Yes, absolutely. And this, folks, this is just the start. This is a teaser. You come this summer, you're going to have these three amazing women, and I'll be there too, carrying their luggage. And we have a great, great conference plan for the summer. It's going to be amazing. If you haven't heard, Cheetah Rivera is going to be joining Angie and I on stage for the opening keynote. We have the Weissman's Fashion Show breakfast, opening night party. It's going to be amazing. We'd love to have you all there and be a part of the event. Just one last reminder, on March 15th, next Wednesday, the early bird registration will expire. So make your move now. You can save $100 off the registration. Love to have you there. Folks, thanks so much for being a part of it. We look forward to seeing you this summer, and we'll be doing some more of these in the future, I can assure you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day.